Hello everyone, my name is Anaï. I'm 65 years old, and if there's something I've learned throughout my life, it's that time waits for no one. He is a rigorous master who teaches us profound lessons that go beyond any book. Every wrinkle on my face is a testimony, a story that tells about laughter and tears. Every white strand of hair has its own reason for being there, symbolizing not only the passing of time, but also the accumulated experiences. Youth is ephemeral. It passes as quickly as a sigh, and as much as we think we know everything, the truth is that only as the years go by do we begin to understand the true essence of things. I remember well when I was young and believed that the world was full of infinite possibilities. It was as if every choice was the right one. However, time, little by little, revealed the true path and taught me the value of listening to those who have already walked this road before me. When we are young, we are impatient to conquer the world. We want to do everything at the same time. It is this rush that often leads us to make the biggest mistakes. I remember so many thoughtless decisions that could have been different if I had stopped to listen to someone more experienced. However, youth involves us in an illusion. We believe that we are invincible, that we can do anything. This pride led me to several falls, but each of these falls taught me more than any early success. Over time, I learned that true wisdom does not lie in quick answers or absolute certainties, but in the ability to learn from each mistake. Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you ignored the advice of someone more experienced because you believed you knew better? Time teaches in a peculiar way. It doesn't shout, it doesn't impose, but it gradually shows us the consequences of our choices. I learned that life is not linear, and that every stumble, every difficulty, has its purpose. These invisible scars are marks of a life well lived, a life that was not without pain, but that knew how to extract valuable lessons from each one of them. At 65, I can look back and realize how much I learned, but also how many times I rushed. It was this rush that made me understand the importance of listening more and talking less. Have you ever heard that expression that says we have 2 ears and 1 mouth to hear twice as much as we speak? This wisdom has never made as much sense as it does now. Over time, I realized that the greatest wealth we can have is experience, and that it only comes with patience. There's no point trying to speed up or skip steps. Life has its own rhythm, and each moment, each situation, is there to teach us something valuable. When you are young, you thirst for quick answers, for immediate results. However, age teaches us to cultivate patience and understand that the important thing is not the speed with which you reach your destination, but the lessons you learn along the way. So if I could give one piece of advice to anyone listening to me right now, it would be this. Don't be in a rush. Learn to value the moment, to listen to those who have walked this path before you. The answers you seek may be hidden in the words of those who have lived much longer than you can imagine. I've always heard that life is made up of encounters, and at 65 years old I can say with certainty that relationships are the foundations of our existence. When we are young, we tend to think that the world revolves around us, that we are in control of everything. But over time we realize that we are like boats, sailing in a sea of people, and that it is our friends, loves, family and connections that really guide the course of our journey. It took me a long time to understand this. Looking back, I see how many times I closed myself off to advice, how many wise words I ignored, believing I knew more than those who tried to guide me. Today, I realize that each meeting, each friendship, and even the loves that passed away left deep marks, shaping the person I am. A dear friend, Antonio, once told me, "Anaï, it's not about how many people you know, it's about how many you actually listen to." At that moment, I couldn't understand what he meant. I was surrounded by people, but I was always in a hurry to tell my own story, to show my ideas and to make myself heard. I thought my opinion was the most important, that my truths were absolute. How many times have I stopped listening to those who really wanted to help me, who had already faced pain and challenges similar to mine. So if I could give one piece of advice to anyone listening to me right now, it would be this. Don't be in a rush. Learn to value the moment, to listen to those who have walked this path before you. The answers you seek may be hidden in the words of those who have lived much longer than you can imagine. I've always heard that life is made up of encounters, and at 65 years old I can say with certainty that relationships are the foundations of our existence. When we are young, we tend to think that the world revolves around us, that we are in control of everything. But over time we realise that we are like boats, sailing in a sea of people, and that it is our friends, loves, family and connections that really guide the course of our journey. It took me a long time to understand this. Looking back, I see how many times I closed myself off to advice, how many wise words I ignored, believing I knew more than those who tried to guide me. Today, I realise that each meeting, each friendship, and even the loves that passed away left deep marks, shaping the person I am. A dear friend, Antonio, once told me, "Anaï, it's not about how many people you know, it's about how many you actually listen to." At that moment, I couldn't understand what he meant. I was surrounded by people, but I was always in a hurry to tell my own story, to show my ideas and to make myself heard. I thought my opinion was the most important, that my truths were absolute. How many times have I stopped listening to those who really wanted to help me, who had already faced pain and challenges similar to mine? It's curious how, in our youth, we believe that we are invincible, that no one else understands what we are going through. But the truth is that previous generations have already experienced much of what we are experiencing now. I learned that listening to these voices, these experiences, can make all the difference in our trajectory. Relationships, especially friendships, teach us about empathy. When we are young, we are so focused on our own goals that we forget to look around, to understand what others are experiencing. But life is one big exchange. As time goes by, I realise that it is in the moments of silence, when we stop to really listen to each other, that we find the greatest lessons. These lessons, my friend, do not come from books or social media, but from the stories that people carry inside them. Often, the answers to our doubts lie in the experiences of others, but to hear them, we need to learn to silence our own voices a little. Therefore, throughout this journey, may we always remember the importance of listening and learning from those around us. Wisdom lies in exchanges, in deep conversations and shared stories. Don't underestimate the power of good listening. This could be the key to a brighter, more meaningful future. Active listening is a skill that few develop. Throughout my life, I realised that people often talk, but few actually take the time to listen. When we allow ourselves to stop and listen, something magical happens. We create genuine connections and discover an entire world of experiences and feelings. This exchange is what enriches us. When we exchange stories and learn from each other, we expand our understanding of life and ourselves. I remember a time when a young woman came to me. She was confused about her career, whether she should pursue the profession she loved or opt for a safer path that didn't fulfill her. I felt like I could help her. So instead of giving immediate advice, I asked her about her passion. I listened to her words, her doubts and insecurities, and the more I listened to her, the more she became enlightened. In the end, she herself reached conclusions that she would never have reached if I had simply imposed my vision. It made me realise how valuable it is to give people space to express their feelings and thoughts. Mindful listening not only helps others, but also allows us to reflect on our own lives. It's a continuous learning cycle. Sometimes when we talk about difficulties, we may feel like we are alone in our struggles. But when we hear someone else's story, we realise that we all face challenges, and that unites us. I've heard stories from people who, like me, have faced the loss of a loved one, the pressure of expectations, and the ups and downs of life. These experiences not only bring empathy, but they also show us that we are not alone. And in times of sadness, this connection can be a great comfort. A friend once told me that life's pains are inevitable, But what we do with those pains is a choice. Over time, I learned that I can use my experiences, whether good or bad, to grow and help others. Each story shared is another step on our journey, and the beauty of this is that by sharing our experiences, we become stronger. And when I talk about relationships, I can't help but mention the importance of forgiveness. I learned that holding on to hurts only weighs us down, while releasing these feelings brings an indescribable lightness. We all make mistakes, and being able to forgive not only others, but ourselves, is fundamental to our well-being. Throughout my life, I have learned that forgiveness is not an act of weakness, but rather a sign of strength and courage. Freeing ourselves from resentment allows us to move forward and enjoy life more fully. I remember a disagreement with a very dear friend. I was hurt, and instead of talking and clarifying things, I let pride guide me. The friendship was shaky for a while, and during that time I realized how important it was to me. Finally, I took courage and sought a dialogue. What started as a tense moment ended up turning into a rich and deep conversation. I learned that vulnerability is essential to nurturing healthy relationships. The years have taught me that the bonds we form in life are invaluable. Family, friends, and even the acquaintances we cross on our way all have something to offer us. These interactions shape us, challenge us, and make us reflect on who we are. Therefore, every person we meet has the potential to teach us something new. As I look to the future, I can't help but feel hope. Life is a mystery that is revealed every day, and there is so much more to learn. Even at age 65, I continue to seek knowledge, experiences, and connections. I feel that each new friendship, each meaningful conversation enriches my journey. And so I share with you, dear listener, the importance of being open to listening, to learning, and to connecting. May you carry this into your life, allowing the experiences of others to guide you. May your falls become learnings, and may each day be a new opportunity to become a better version of yourself. After all, each of us has a valuable story to tell, and by coming together in our narratives, we form a rich and colourful tapestry of the human experience. Therefore, throughout this journey, always remember, listen with your heart and be present in the conversations. Life is so much more than ourselves, and beauty lies in shared stories. Let's navigate the waters of life together, learning, growing, and supporting each other. And in the end, when we look back, may we be proud not only of what we achieved, but of the connections we made and the lessons we learned along the way. And as we navigate this journey called life, it's essential to remember that each phase brings its own challenges and rewards. Youth may seem like a time of freedom, but it is also full of uncertainty. Sometimes it's hard to know where to go or which path to take. When we reach maturity, we realize that wisdom does not only come from victories, but mainly from defeats. Every mistake we make is a chance for growth, another brick in the construction of our character. As I reflect on my experiences, I understand that vulnerability is a fundamental part of this journey. Opening up to others, showing our weaknesses and fears, can be intimidating, but it is also liberating. When we share our challenges, we create a space where others feel comfortable doing the same. This exchange brings us closer, humanizes us, and allows us to find comfort in the similarities of our experiences. And the beauty of this exchange is that often the advice we receive doesn't come from where we expect it to. It could be a friend, a family member, or even a stranger in a cafe. Each person we meet has a unique perspective, a story that can illuminate our path. Sometimes the simplest words have the power to resonate deeply in our hearts and minds. Once, while talking to a young woman in a park, she said to me, "You never know what you can learn from listening to someone." That phrase stuck with me. Every conversation is an opportunity to discover something new, to expand our horizons, and to connect with other people's life experiences. It is a reminder that we are all interconnected in our humanity. When we reflect on the passage of time, it is common to feel a certain weight of nostalgia. Sometimes we miss our youth, the dreams we had, and the possibilities that seemed endless. However, it is vital to remember that each stage of life brings its own joys and opportunities. As we grow older, we gain not only experience, but also a new perspective on what really matters. We learn to value simple moments, like a sunset, a shared laugh, or a deep conversation with a friend. And this is where the importance of living in the present comes in. Life is a collection of moments, and many of us spend so much time worrying about the future or dwelling on the past that we forget to enjoy the now. I encourage you to slow down, notice, and allow yourself to feel the small joys of everyday life. After all, it is in these moments that we find true happiness. Over time, I also realized that it is essential to cultivate gratitude. Recognizing the blessings in our lives, even the small ones, can transform our perspective. It's easy to focus on the difficulties and challenges, but as we train our hearts to see the beauty around us, we become more resilient. A simple daily practice of giving thanks, whether for a sunny morning or a hot coffee, can bring about a big change in the way we see life. And so, when reflecting on all this, I realize that true wealth is not in material possessions, but in the experiences and relationships we cultivate throughout life. What really matters are the memories we create and the connections we make. As we reach the end of our journey, I hope to look back and feel that I enjoyed every moment, that I learned from each person, and that I left a legacy of love and wisdom. If I could offer one more piece of advice, it would be this. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Opening up to others, sharing your stories and listening to theirs is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others. Life is so much richer when we are able to connect our hearts and minds. And who knows, by listening to each other's stories, we will find the answers we are looking for. Life is a unique journey, and each of us has an important role to play. May we always remember that we are all in this wonderful experience together, and no matter how challenging it may be, every step we take is a learning opportunity. So I invite you to continue this journey with me, to listen with an open heart, and to share your stories, because in the end, what really matters is the connection we create along the way. And as we do, we will build a legacy of love, learning and understanding that can inspire generations to come. I invite you to look at your own life and consider the lessons it has already taught you. Each of us has a unique story, full of experiences that shaped us and made us who we are today. And as we share these stories, we create a rich tapestry of wisdom that can illuminate each other's paths. If you felt inspired by these reflections and want to continue this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. When you sign up, you join an incredible community of people looking to learn, grow, and connect. Also, be sure to like and share this video with friends and family. Together, we can spread these valuable lessons and reach more people who can benefit from them. And we want to hear from you. Leave your opinion in the comments, sharing your own experiences and the place you speak from. This helps us better understand our community and create content that truly resonates with you. Oh, and one last surprise. A link to an upcoming video will soon appear on the screen that you definitely can't miss. This video is full of insights that can help you further on your journey. So, don't waste time and click on the link. Remember, life is an incredible journey, and each of us can make a difference in the lives of others. Let's continue learning and growing together.